On behalf of the International Chamber of Commerce, I am honored to welcome you to our annual Business Day. ICC is the world's largest business organization, representing over 45 million companies worldwide and with a footprint of over 1 billion employees.
The Novozymes climate change is core to its business, as are the Sustainable Development Goals. And I was very lucky this morning, I was actually...
It is a pleasure to be with you this morning for the opening of this very important event. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the International Chamber of Commerce for organizing this day and to all the partners involved. I would also like to thank you for your valuable contributions to the Talanoa Dialogue, including organizing your own Talanoa sessions that produced outcomes that helped enrich the Talanoa Dialogue. Your contributions and stories provide inspiration to both parties and non-party stakeholders, alike in taking action to step up ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no arguing that we need to transform to a zero net emission world by mid-century. We need to balance global greenhouse gas emissions and removals. And at the same time, it is essential that we continue to pursue a path of development which is inclusive and sustainable, where people and nature thrive. The science is telling us that urban and infrastructure system transition, consistent with limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees, would imply changes in land and urban planning practices, as well as deeper emission reductions in transport and buildings. The following measures need to be taken by 2050. Businesses will need to reduce emissions by 75 to 90% compared to 2010. The electricity share of energy demand in buildings will need to reduce by 55 to 75%. The transport sector will need to increase the share of low-emission final energy from less than 5% in 2020 to about 35 to 65% in 2050. However, it is important to recognize that in the industry sector, emission reductions by energy and process efficiency by themselves are insufficient for limiting warming to 1.5 degrees. Business will need to deploy a range of new and existing technologies and practices and manage water and material use sustainably in their own operations and in their supply chains. Businesses will need to ensure that new and existing infrastructure is resilient to the impacts of climate change. New business models and products to maximize energy, water, and material efficiency and to enable sustainable choices for consumers will need to be developed. In this regard, I was pleased to see in the Yearbook for Global Climate Action released by the Champions that there is increasing global momentum to scale up climate action in the industry and business sector. I acknowledge the 26 cities, regions, and businesses that have signed the Net Zero Carbon Buildings Declaration, which commits to ensuring that new buildings operate at net zero carbon by 2030. There is also the Airport Carbon Accreditation, which empowers the efforts of airports to manage, reduce, and ultimately neutralize their carbon footprint. These efforts span across all their activities, buildings, ground, transport, and relationships with their suppliers. There are only two of the efforts being undertaken, and it underscores the important role that businesses and the private sector play in tackling this critical challenge that we are faced with. However, we also need to recognize the challenges. While emission reductions can be achieved through combinations of new and existing technologies and practices, their large-scale deployment may be limited by economic, financial, human capacity, and institutional constraints. Economic, institutional, and socio-cultural barriers may also inhibit urban and infrastructure systems transitions. This calls for stronger cooperation and accountable multi-level governance that includes actors such as industry, civil society, and scientific institutions. There needs to be coordinated sectoral and cross-sectoral policies at various governance levels. There is also the need for innovative climate financing coming from both the private and public sector. An example is the Global Urbis program, launched by the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development has committed to mobilizing US dollars 1.5 billion to support 40 to 60 cities to implement climate initiatives, and the European Investment Bank is supporting the creation of a global knowledge hub for cities. There also needs to be cooperation on technology development and transfer. It is clear that you businesses and private sector have the innovative technologies and solutions that governments can benefit from. However, it is essential that conducive policy and regulatory frameworks are provided to support the large-scale deployment of such technologies and innovations, especially for NDC enhancement and implementation. A simple example of policy frameworks to support business and industry climate innovations is the development and enforcement of building codes and for new and refurbished buildings, and regulations to support the implementation of infrastructure for electric vehicle charging. Governments need the contribution and support of non-party stakeholders, especially businesses like yours, to be inspired to and confidently submit more ambitious targets and ensure its achievement. This is what we hope that the Talanoa Dialogue will deliver. I would like to end with our theme for global climate action: embracing inclusive multilateralism. We cannot win this fight alone. Let us step up for ambition together. I wish you all a fruitful and enjoyable business and industry day. Thank you.